Siem Reap. Siem Reap is the second largest city of Cambodia, as well as the capital and largest city of Siem Reap province in the northwestern Cambodia. Siem Reap has French colonial and Chinese style architecture in the old French Quarter and around the old market. In the city, there are museums, traditional Apsara dance performance, a Cambodian culture village, souvenir and handicraft shops, seal farms, rice paddies in the countryside, fishing village and a bird sanctuary near Tonle Sap, and a cosmopolitan drinking and dining scene. Cambodia's Siem Reap city, home to the famous Angkor temples, was crowned the Asian City of Culture for the period 2021-2022 at the 9th meeting of the ASEAN Minister responsible for Culture and Arts (AMCE), organized on October 22, 2020. Siem Reap today, being a popular tourist destination, has many hotels, resorts, and restaurants. This owes much to its proximity to the Angkor Wat temples, Cambodia's most popular tourist attraction. In year 2002, Siem Reap City held various events commemorating its 1200th anniversary. The name Siem Reap can be translated to mean defeat of Siam, Siem in Khmer, and is commonly taken as a reference to an incident in the centuries old conflict between the Siamese and Khmer Kingdoms. Although this is probably apocryphal, according to oral tradition, King Angkor 1560 to 1566 had named the town Siem Reap after the repulse an army sent to invade Cambodia by the Thai king Mahachakraphat in year 1549. Scholars such as Michael Vickery consider this derivation to be simply a modern for etymology and maintain that while the names Siem Reap and Chang La, the old Chinese name for Cambodia, may perhaps be related, the actual origin of the name is unknown. The traditional tale claims that the King Angkor of Cambodia tried to assert greater independence from Siam, which was then struggling internally. The Siamese king Jairaja had been poisoned by his concubine, Lady Shi Sudachan, who had committed adultery with a commoner, Warawong Sathirat, while the king was away leading a campaign against the kingdom of Lana. Sudachan then placed her lover on the throne. The Thai nobility flew them outside the city on a royal procession by barge to inspect a newly discovered white elephant. After killing the usurper, along with Sudachan and their newborn daughter, they invited Prince Tian Raja to leave the monkhood and assume the throne as King Mahachakraphat 1548 to 1569. With the Thais distracted by the internal problems King Angkor attacked, he seized the Siamese city of Prachapurin in 1549, sacking the city and making slaves of his inhabitants. Only then did he learn that the succession had been settled and that Mahachakraphat was the new ruler. Angkor immediately retreated to Cambodia, taking captives with him. King Mahachakraphat was furious over the unprovoked attack, but Burma had also chosen to invade through the Three Pagodas Pass. The Burmese army posed a much more serious threat, as it captured Kanchanaburi and Suphanburi It then appeared before Ayutthaya itself. The Thai army managed to defeat the Burmese, who quickly retreated through the pass Mahachakrapa's toast then turned to Cambodia. Not only had Angkor attacked and looted Prachinburi, turning its people into slaves, but he also refused to give Mahachakrapa a white elephant he had requested, rejecting even this token of submission to Siam. Mahachakrapa ordered Prince Ong, the governor of Sawan Kalok, to lead an expedition to punish Angkor and recover the Thai captives. The rival armies met, and Angkor killed Prince Ong with a lucky musket shot from an elephant's back. The leaderless Thai army fled, and Angkor Arich captured more than 10,000 Siamese soldiers. To celebrate his great victory, King Angkor supposedly named the battleground Siem Reap, meaning the total defeat of Siam. In reality, surviving historic sources make this derivation appear unlikely, since they date the decline of Angkor to more than a century before this, when a military expedition from Ayutthaya captured and sacked Angkor Wat, which began a long period of vassal rule over Cambodia. The 1431 capture coincided with the decline of Angkor, though the reason behind these abandonments are not clear. They may have included environmental change and violence of the Khmer infrastructure. From the 16th to the 19th centuries, infighting among the Khmer nobility led to a periodic intervention and domination by both of Cambodia's more powerful neighbors, Vietnam and Siam. Siem Reap, along with Battambang, and Sisophon major cities in northwest Cambodia, was under Siamese administration, and the province was collectively known as Inner Cambodia from 1795 until 1907, when it was ceded to French Indochina. During the 18th century, under the rule of Ayutthaya Kingdom, it was known as Nakhon Siam, Siam City. Rediscovery of Angkor. Siem Reap was little more than a village when French explorers such as Henry Mohu rediscovered Angkor in the 19th century. However, European visitors had visited the temple ruins much earlier, including Antonio da Maddalena in 1586. In 1901, the École-Francaise d'Extrême-Orient EFEO, French School of the Far East, began a long association with Angkor by funding an expedition into Siam to the Bayonne. The EFEO took responsibility for clearing and restoring the whole site. In the same year, the first Western tourists arrived in Angkor, a total of about 200 in just 3 months. Angkor had been rescued from the jungle and was assumed its place in the modern world. With the acquisition of Angkor by France in 1907 following a Franco-Siamese treaty, Siem Reap began to grow. The Grand Hotel de Angkor opened in 1929, and the temples of Angkor became one of the Asian leading roads until the late 1960s, when the Civil War kept tourists away. In 1975, the population of Siem Reap, like all other Cambodian cities and towns, was driven into the countryside by the communist Khmer Rouge. Siem Reap's recent history is colored by the horror of the brutal Khmer Rouge regime since Pol Pot's death in 1998. However, relative stability and the rejuvenated tourist industry have revived the city and province. Siem Reap now serves as a more gateway town to the World Heritage Site of Angkor Wat. In recent years, the city has regularly ranked in the top 10 for best destination lists produced by the entities such as TripAdvisor, Wanderlust Magazine, and Travel Asia. Siem Reap is a cluster of small villages along the Siem Reap River. This village was originally developed around Buddhist pagodas, wats, which are most evenly spaced along the river from Wat Pre Angkor in the north to Wat Nom Krom in the south, where the Siem Reap River meets the Great Tonle Sap Lake. Town center is concentrated around Sivuta Street and the Pasar Chak area or market area, where there are old colonial buildings, shopping and commercial districts. The Wat Bo area is now full of guest houses and restaurants, while the Sa-le area is often crowded with jewelry and handicraft shops selling just items as rubies and wood carving. Other fast developing areas are the Airport Road and Main Road to Angkor, where a number of large hotels and resorts can be found. Tourism is a very important aspect of the economy of Siem Reap. It was estimated in 2010 that over 50% of jobs in the town were related to the tourism industry. The city has seen a massive increase in tourist attendance in a couple of decades after the end of the Khmer era, and businesses centered on tourism have flourished due to the tourist boom. Visitor numbers were negligible in the mid-1990s, but by 2004, over 500,000 foreign visitors had arrived in Siem Reap. Robins that here approximately 50% of all foreign tourists in Cambodia. By 2012, tourist numbers had reached over 2 million. Angkor Wat Temple is a central feature of the Angkor UNESCO World Heritage Site, containing the magnificent remains of the Khmer civilization. Angkor Wat's rising series of 5 towers culminates in an impressive sound of towers that symbolize mythical Mount Meru. Thousands of feet of wall space are covered with intricate carving depicting scenes from Hindu mythology. The most important are the carved bas-reliefs of the Hindu narratives. They tell a story about the gods fighting demons in order to reclaim order, which can only be achieved by recovering the elixir of life known as Amrita. The gods and demons must work together to release it and then battle to attain it. Angkor Thom is an inner royal city built by Jayavarman VII, the empire's famed warrior king, at the end of the 12th century, and is renowned for its temples, in particular the Bayon. Other notable sites are Bafun, Fiminakras, the Terrace of the Elephants, and the Terrace of the Leopard King. The city can be accessed through 5 city gates, one at each cardinal point at the Victoria Gate on the eastern wall. Other temples, a number of significant temples are dotted around Angkor Wat and Angkor Thom. Within the Angkor Archaeological Park, including Tap Prom, Brekan, Bantiai Kadai, Nom Pakang, Tap Kau, Tasom, Ismebon, Druks, Brebrap, and Nipin. These temples may be visited along the Grand Circuit or the Small Circuit routes. Other sites are the Rulos group of temples located to the east of Siem Reap. The Cambodia Landmark Museum and Relief Center. The Landmark Museum offers the tourists and Cambodians the chance to see such landmarks up close, understand how they work and what they can do to help bring Cambodia and the world of their continuing trade. It is a promise approximately 25 km north of Siem Reap, 30 minutes by tuk-tuk, 7 km south of the Pantier Strait Temple complex in Angkor National Park. Some 2,000 at-risk Khmer children are educated and live, along with staff, at the relief center on the museum pottery. War Museum Cambodia. The War Museum Cambodia covers the last 3 decades of the 20th century when the Khmer Rouge was active in Cambodia. There is a vast array of vehicles, artillery, weaponry, landmines, and equipment on display. The museum is making use of guys who are war veterans who fought for the Cambodian army, the Khmer Rouge, or the Vietnamese army. Angkor National Museum opened on the 12th November 2007. The Angkor National Museum offers visitors a better understanding of the area's archaeological treasures. The golden era of the Khmer Kingdom is presented, including the use of state-of-the-art multimedia technology. The museum covers Khmer history, civilization, and cultural heritage in 8 galleries. Today, the museum is filled with expensive jewelry being sold to the tourists. The museum is also popular among local tourists during special holidays, especially during the Khmer New Year and Christmas time. The markets. The old markets, or Pasachak, is between Pop Street and the Siem Reap River and offers a mixture of souvenirs for tourists and a variety of food, produce, and other items meant for the locals. Other markets in Siem Reap including Angkor Night Market, which is off Sivuta Street, Pasar Kantor, the Central Market, and on Sivuta Street which mainly caters to tourists, and Pasar Le, the upper market, which is further away along National Road number 6 but is the biggest market of Siem Reap used by the locals. The Making Cambodia market, initially called Wild Mag in Cambodia, King Gross, is a night market for tourists in Siem Reap where all the product sold are made in Cambodia. The market hosts daily shows and other events in the King's Road. In July 2020, authority issued an order banning the buying, selling, and butchering of dogs for food. Artisan Angkor is a semi-public company founded in 1992, which aims to revive traditional Khmer craftsmanship and provide employment for rural artisans. It is also associated with a silk farm where visitors may learn about the Seri culture and weaving. It also participates in the restoration of historical Angkor sites by repairing and replacing damaged sculptures. Cambodian Cultural Village opened on the 24th September 2003. The Cambodian Cultural Village assembles all the miniature of famous historical buildings and structures of Cambodia. There are 11 unique villages which represent different cultural heritage, local custom, and characteristics of 21 multi-races. According to the Korean climate classification, Siem Reap features a tropical wet and dry climate. The city is generally hot throughout the course of the year, with average high temperature never falling below 30 Celsius degree in any month. Siem Reap has a relatively lengthy wet season, which starts in May and ends in October. The dry season covers the remaining 6 months. The city averages approximately 1,406 mm of rainfall per year. The town is 7 km from Siem Reap Angkor International and is accessible by direct flights from many Asian cities and by land from Phnom Penh and the Thai border. It is also accessible by boat via Tonle Sap Lake, There are also buses from Phnom Penh and Pattambon, with buses between Phnom Penh and Siem Reap taking about 6 hours. A new airport is planned 60 kilometers from Siem Reap. It is possible to get from Bangkok to Siem Reap by Port Phet. The road from Port Phet to Siem Reap is newly paved and sealed as of 2013. If travelers take a taxi from Bangkok to Port Phet and from Port Phet to Siem Reap, it is possible to complete the whole journey in 6 to 10 hours, depending on the border crossing times. This journey is also possible by bus and minibus. Tickets can be bought online via the official Natakan website. Getting to Siem Reap from Bangkok is also possible by train via the Aranyaprathet station to the border with Cambodia and later by share minibuses or taxis to Siem Reap. Siem Reap will have high-speed rail lines to Phnom Penh that are currently in the feasibility stage by the conducted by CRECG. Local specialty rice wine. Traditional rice wine may be made by the Cambodian households or villages for their own consumption. Some are also produced commercially or inspired by this tradition. An example is the Sambai infused Cambodian liquor, Sambai, produced in Siem Reap. This beverage has inspiration from the Sriracha or Sokwe that Cambodians drink traditionally and the infused rums from the islands. The particularity of the bottles of Sambai is that they are hand-painted, making it attractive to tourists visiting Cambodia. The workshop and its tasting parlor, installed in a traditional Khmer wooden house, has become a tourist attraction in town. Nam Kulen National Park is about 48 kilometers from Siem Reap and contains a number of attractions such as its true waterfall and the Kapan Spin River over 100 lingas. It is also home to Bre Angkor, an active 16th century pagoda that is home to the largest reclining Buddha in Cambodia. Floating village. There are 4 floating villages around Siem Reap: Kabong Kleng, Kabong Kluk, Chongnis, and Mai Chai, home to a bird sanctuary. Kabong Kleng is considered the largest and most authentic, and Chongnis is the least authentic but most visited due to its proximity to the city. Tonle Sap, Khmer for vast body of fresh water, and more commonly translated as Great Lake, is a combined lake and river system of major importance to Cambodia. This is the heart of Cambodia and is home to many floating villages. Tonle Sap is 30 minutes south of downtown Siem Reap at the port of Chongnis. The lake and its village have many unique features and attractions, making Tonle Sap tours popular with tourists. The area of the Tonle Sap, including the Prince of Siem Reap, is part of Royal Tonle Sap Biosphere Reserve. Nom Tay is a hill near Siem Reap. Ban Tie Strait is 10th century temple about 30 kilometers northeast of Siem Reap. It is notable for its 5 intricate decorative carvings on rose pink sandstone. Bagan, Myanmar, Fontainebleau, France, Angkor, Germany, Jiangxi Province, China, Orland Park, Illinois, Kota Aichi, Japan, are sister city of Siem Reap. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and stay blessed.